show up is a really great thing, especially since we got Spirit AeroSystems here talking with us today, so it's really exciting. So yeah, first part of the meeting is going to be just this is going to be what the agenda looks like. We'll do an icebreaker. So as you can see, we got 3 cups up here. So we'll be doing a Kahoot in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month. So top 3 will get one of these cups. So yeah, and then we'll have our talking about our events upcoming this month. This is what's going on, opportunities for you guys to get involved with SHPE, how to be active, and also secure a seat for a conference as well. So yeah, but then we'll have a survey at the end so we know who all attended and we can just take that into account. So yeah, so we'll just go ahead and get started with our icebreaker, which is Kahoot. So you guys get out your phones. So yeah, so other than that, we have a couple of events coming up. So for starters, we have Horseman's Science Night, which is next week on Thursday from 5 to 6:30. We do need some volunteers there. That form will be sent out in the group meeting, so if you're interested in helping out. A little bit about that, what that is that we go out. So Horseman hosts a science night every year. And what they do is like they have different science projects and experiments for like for the families and like low elementary school like students there, just to like get engaged with like STEM or even like science projects as well. So we'll be doing 2 projects this year. So we'll be doing like paper airplanes and also like a tinfoil like boat. So trying to like creating one and seeing like how much weight you can put on it before it sinks. So yeah, so we definitely need a lot of volunteers for that. And Tiana will send that out in the group meeting for that. So yeah, and another great way. Our next thing is our t-shirt contest, which is designs are due by the 20th. Please submit your designs. Tiana, do you want to talk more about it?
Marcos can do that.
So this fundraiser will be from Custom Ink, if anyone here is familiar with that. Basically, design any t-shirt or long sleeve t-shirt that you like, front and back, whatever you feel. Whatever designs that we get in, we'll decide which one is the most popular, most preferred design. And you have free reign for any design that you want, except adding the whoosh shock to your shirt, because for that we have to get permission from the athletic department instead of our SGA. But if you want to put Wichita State University or any form of Wichita State, you got, or even WSU, then free reign to do that. And anything that's appealing for College of Engineering, for SHPE, Hispanic Heritage, engineering in general, go for it. Like any design that you want, and then submit your design by email. And it could be a screenshot of your computer, from your phone, whatever you need.
If you use the Wichita State logo or the SHPE logo, do not make any changes to them.
Yes, no altering on that. And then if you happen to make a change, we can like talk with you and then we'll alter it if that is like the final design that we go for. And the design that we do choose, that person who made the original design gets a free t-shirt from that design that they made.
Cool. So for any artistic engineers that we got out there and like want to be creative, definitely submit your designs so you can compete for a free shirt and also get your art displayed out there on campus. We'll all be wearing it if it wins, so yeah.
Yeah, brand awareness.
So, yeah. And then the last event coming up is going to be the College of Engineering is hosting a Fiesta Latina. It's going to be September 29th at 7 p.m. So this is going to be after our next general meeting. There will be a bachata and salsa instructor from Ballet Wichita, free food. So we'll head over right after our meeting for our next general meeting. So yeah, just come show out, tell your friends about it. It's going to be a lot of fun, a great way to celebrate our heritage. So, yeah.
Where is that?
It's going to be in the JVC, main lobby. So, yeah. And then flyers and more information will be sent out later week. So yeah. And then something that I'm going to be introducing now is shout outs. So our first shout out is going to be Tiana Padilla getting accepted to the Disney College program. So. Yeah, good job, TK. Keep up the good work. We know you now the only way is to go is up at this point. So you got this. We'll be cheering you on here from Wichita State University. So yeah, but yeah. This is just designed for all you guys, so if you guys have an achievement that you want to kind of like acknowledge or just want us to shout it out, you guys and everything like that, let me know. I will be more than willing to put it up there. We want to recognize your guys' hard work, especially throughout this school year and the semester, so yeah, definitely like take advantage of this and get some serotonin and be cheered up. So yeah, but
Come visit me in Florida. I'm there for 6 months, starting in January.
so yeah.
You don't have to ask them twice.
So yeah, and then with that being said, I'll go ahead and give it to Spirit for their presentation.
While Josue pulls that up, my name is Abel Barraza. I'm a research and development engineer at Spirit. I've been there about a year and a few months. After I graduated, I went to Northrop Grumman, California for a year, but I missed Wichita that much, and then I got a really like my dream offer, which is research and development at Spirit. So I was so thrilled to come back. I was at Partnership the whole time I was in college, and I loved it. So I'm so happy to be here today. And I'm gonna introduce yourself.
Yeah, Ida Sedna, also go by Heidi. People can't say I did in my regular days. But so I actually graduated from here in Wichita State back in 2002. And I studied industrial engineering here, and I went on to get my master's at Texas A&M, and then started over at. Oh, by the way, also we didn't have SHPE when I was here. It's been that long, but I'm so happy that you guys have it here, like a good environment to like network and help each other out and everything. And let's see, so I started over at, my first job was at Raytheon, which turned into a Beechcraft, which now is Textron. And I've been in the industry for about 14, 15 years, and I've been at Spirit for 5 years in the core industrial engineering team over at Spirit.
So today we're going to talk to you guys a little bit about interning at Spirit and then just what Spirit is and what we do. So we'll start with the video. Our CEO does a really good job of describing what we do.
The journeys are all important. Flown with speed and safety. The destinations vary. But each journey shares a common origin. Spirit AeroSystems, where flight begins.
So when you think about where flight begins, it begins with manufacturing, it begins with the basic structures of the aircraft, and that's what Spirit AeroSystems makes. We do things that nobody else in the world can do. We really build the foundations for flight. We build the big structures which make up aircraft, whether it's a fuselage, the wings, or the nacelles. And we supply those to original equipment manufacturers like Boeing and Airbus.
Spirit AeroSystems is where more than 90 years of innovation has shaped the aerospace industry. Headquartered in Wichita, Kansas, the air capital of the world, Spirit's operations extend across the globe to manufacturing locations in Europe, North America, and Malaysia. Spirit relies on its highly skilled workforce and engineering talent to constantly innovate and drive efficiencies.
We not only manufacture, but we design for manufacturing so that we can be more productive and we can drive more throughput at higher levels of quality, and we can meet delivery and we can produce at rate.
And on any platform, no matter the mission. Whether it's moving travelers or defending freedom around the globe, flight begins here.
This is a great time to be in the aviation industry. And part of the reason for that is that of the 7 billion people in the world today, fewer than 10% have ever flown on an airplane. And that's starting to change. We have a backlog on all aircraft that Boeing and Airbus have in their backlogs. We're the only company in the world that is on all of those aircraft.
Constant innovation, affordable solutions, continuous quality improvement, and on-time delivery. Spirit AeroSystems is where flight begins.
I like your YouTube.
It's a friends.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, so, this is just a slide that talks a little bit about our business and like, you know, what we mean by like what we do at Spirit. So we're actually one of the leaders, in building aerostructures. Tier 1 basically means that we supply to the original manufacturers. And what we're doing is both, we produce fuselages, the propulsion systems, and the wings for the aircraft. So you kind of see here in this chart, they've got the Airbus and the different models and what the blue part's like what we build for them, like what part we build for them. And so on like 737, and you'll see more pictures, I'm gonna talk more about it later, but we build like the whole fuselage basically. And that's our biggest bread and butter, basically what we do. But we also do a lot, like, you know, we're just talking about wings and forward fuselage and propulsion systems. On top of that, we're also kind of we're expanding more and more, actually more than even when this thing was created, that we're getting more into the defense type of work. So it's really, really exciting new stuff.
Yeah, like I mentioned, defense is like we noticed that during the pandemic when commercial air like lines and everybody, they were buying way less commercial aircraft. So we pivoted more to defense, so they've invested heavily into defense research and development to put us in a good place to get more business with hypersonics, and also these aircraft you see here and a lot more. So I work in research and development, so normally it comes through us first, and then we try and build it the first time. That middle one in the blue, the 3280, I was actually involved in building we built just the fuselage, but we built it for the first time, and we tried a bunch of different iterations, and just to get it to work, because it's good to do it in a small atmosphere before you go and try and produce a lot of them, right? But yeah, defense is really huge for us, and there's tons of jobs in defense, and you can also intern in defense as well, so.
I think you were saying, I think that we'll touch on it later, that we're also kind of growing in the NASA type of like work
Yeah.
too, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, we're doing, we acquired another company, FMI Technologies is their main. They build basically heat shields for the SLS rocket and a few other ones, but they've been in business for a while. So yeah, we just acquired them, so we're excited about that to keep like driving on to the space side of things, so we do a lot. This next one is just talks about it, designed for manufacturability. Tom touched on it a little bit on the video, but basically, instead of, well, there's some situations where the company will give us like a blueprint, like this is what we want you to build exactly. But there's other times where they give us kind of like this is the general shape we want, and you guys own the design. That way you can manufacture it at rate or however you feel is best. So the way we do that, a few technologies that we utilize. One is IRIS. I can't remember the acronym. It's just resin infusion is the middle part of it, which basically gives us a way of building a net-shaped part the first time, and that's a carbon fiber matrix, and then resin infused, like I said. So that's one of them. Non-destructive inspection is how we inspect anything we build, just to make sure it's good before we ship it to our customers. And then inflection is just one of that's basically the head from Electro Impact. It's an automated fiber placement head that lays down carbon fiber a lot faster than humans can. And then I did work at Spirit.
Yeah, so one of my projects has the Spirit Exact, so I'm going to talk a little about that one. Basically, and again, it's this design for manufacturability piece of it, is that they've, what they're doing is designing the parts so that they're basically like a tool. So they already have the holes exactly where they need to be, so when they're assembled together, there's no drilling that has to happen when you're installing it. And that's what used to happen, so we've actually been able to remove, instead of like operators having to drill everything out, it's a machine that's doing it and very precise. So it's, you know, saved us a lot of money. And I mean, all this technology, it's pretty much unique to Spirit. Like we're
Yeah.
innovators for this.
Yeah, we own a lot of intellectual property, a lot of patents on most of this technology, so that's what gives us a competitive edge against a lot of other companies, and why so many manufacturers come to us to build certain things that they know they can't build on their own. These are a few of what we build. Probably the biggest programs. Real quick, can anybody give me the top 2 sold commercial aircraft, like in the world? You guys know off the top of your head?
747, 737.
Which other one?
A320.
I should have asked before I brought up the slide. So they've been sold around like 10,000 of each of the A320s and the 737. That's a lot of aircraft. And since Spirit has they're both like this basically the same seating capacity. So anytime the most sold aircrafts in the world get sold, we get that part of that business. And a few slides before that, it brought up the backlog, and so did Tom. The backlog is basically just like if we were to stop taking new business now and stop taking orders, we still have $48 billion worth of stuff to build to like satisfy the contracts we already have. So it's about 8 to 10 years worth of work. So and obviously we're still constantly getting new contracts, constantly getting new programs. So it's just continuously growing, which is why we keep growing at Wichita and the rest of the U.S. honestly. So, the first one is the 787. We built a Section 41, the front portion of it. We'll talk a little bit more about that one later. But like I mentioned earlier, the 737s are bread and butter. You see those parked outside Spirit a lot. It's a really high rate. The 737 is like 52 per month at max, and then the 787, the most it ever got to was like 12 per month. And then the A320, again, that one I think we built in Tulsa, right? They're the leading and trailing edges?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're also a company that has like a very big global footprint, and not only do we have like a lot of sites here in the United States, so Wichita being the headquarters, which is pretty cool. We have sites in North Carolina, Tulsa, and like you just talked about the Biddeford, Maine, that has a lot of our defense, new development type of work.
Yeah, I can start. So, Spirit used to be Boeing until 2000 and, I can't remember which year. Early 2000s, we became Spirit. So we were Boeing Wichita for many, many years. And part of what we used to build during World War II was the B-29 Strato, or Super Fortress. They used to build 4.5 of them a day, which is insane if you ask me. That's like a lot of planes. And it all happened at Plant 2, which is our largest facility at Spirit. But yeah, you can talk to them about Doc a little bit. I've never seen Doc, honestly, but I think you have, right?
I've seen the airplane from a distance, and it's just like it's a historic airplane. I think what Roy said, that they used it for target practice, like when they were doing military training, and then after basically it was retired, no longer in service, somebody took it up to fix it up and make it look, new again and all polished and everything. And they gave it a nickname, and basically they do a lot of like special trips to give people like just a special ride on a historic airplane, and so it flies around on special occasions and things like that. So it's just also really interesting. I mean, it's so neat to see that, like even back then, like we're building so many. We're not even at that point anymore. So just imagine the number of people that are around, like the airplanes trying to get this all built.
Yeah, definitely. Again, the Section 41, it's fully integrated, and we wanted to highlight it a little bit more because that shows our capability of building really an aircraft from scratch. Before we deliver this to Boeing, we actually turn everything on the inside of the cockpit. It's really cool to see all the screens kick on, and we retract that front nose, that landing gear. That front landing gear retracts out, so we make sure it's good and ready to send off to either North Carolina or Washington, wherever they're building it at the moment. But yeah, this is what we load into the Dreamlifter. It's covered completely in a white tarp, and then it's loaded and shipped over there. Again, it's like 12 of these, and this one is like my favorite one that we built because it's made out of composite as opposed to aluminum like the 737. So you saw in the video earlier where there's like a machine rolling around this huge section of aircraft. It's dark. It's carbon fiber. It's all automated placement. It's like a lot of the things we do there only we know how to do. So that's again another really good example of how we use our knowledge and our IP to get a competitive advantage against a lot of other companies. So But yeah, this is definitely my favorite one to go see, and I always, when I have people like interns or whoever, I took Diego out to go see this one, because I really like showing people how we can build everything, and I've only been inside a cockpit a few times, so being able to go inside there is really cool.
So this is the 737 production line that's over in Plant 2. And what you're looking at is integration section, but basically what we're doing is we're taking like lower lobes, upper lobes, for all the different sections. There's like, you know, back section, middle section, forward section, and the fuselage, like the nose. So like slowly, you know, you get the lower lobe, you put the floor frame on it, you put the upper on it, and then so that it gets integrated, and then at this point, it's getting all like more fasteners installed, so it's all fastened together. And then after that, it gets like sealed and then shook down by inspection and everything, and then it gets ready to get sent out for ready to ship on railroad to Washington.
Yeah, you see these parked outside Spirit if you just drive by, and it's really cool to look at. And these we actually pressure test them too before we send them, because usually you pressurize when you fly an aircraft at high altitudes, but we do that here at Spirit before we send it out. We don't do any of the like interiors in it. It's mainly the structure. So the load bearing areas, the wing box, everything is, and then again pressure tested and then put on a train and sent to. This one goes to Everett, Washington, right? Yeah. And that's Boeing's largest facility. So, like I said, we said earlier, this is easily our biggest program because we've done it for so long, and it's in the same plant where they used to build the B-29.
The interesting stuff about the internship. You want me to talk about this one too?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're just talking about, this is like last year's or this summer's intern class, and what kind of interns positions we had. So majority of what we got was engineering. So that's like design, like manufacturing, MEs, aero and stress and all that. The second largest was the manufacturing support, so that includes like, you know, industrial engineering, lean tooling, manufacturing engineers. And then the second biggest ones would be like business related, so like business, project management, supply chain, HR. We also do some IT and finance interns.
So a big thing about the spread between the two, because I mean they're all engineering positions. You can apply for both of them if your major aligns to it. The one on the left is just engineering, would be again design, stress, R&D. So anything that's involved with a program that's not actually being built yet. And then the manufacturing one, if you want to apply for those, it would be for any that we're building now. So you're supporting the floor, you're a manufacturing engineer, a tooling engineer, an industrial engineer, like Aida does. But yeah, if you have any other friends in the other realms, that's why we're here for SHPE, but if you know anybody else for the other ones, then definitely just let us know. Because we just want as many interns, I know I want as many interns as we can for Wichita State, but. We were gonna have Diego talk through this one because he was actually an intern and he did all of this, and he's actually in some of these pictures. But I remember the one that stood out to me and I was kind of jealous about was the Cosmosphere, because I've been in Kansas like my whole life and I've still never been to the Cosmosphere. I know I need to go. And I love space, so that's big for me. I need to go to that. So that was really cool. They had I think they had like a lunch by Doc, which is a picture there. And actually time with Tom, with our CEO, they just got to ask him questions, get to know him, things like that. And if you go to the next slide, I think, this is at the end of their internship. So there's like 150 interns, and as many as wanted to apply to do the Project Expo, just talk about what they did at Spirit the whole time they were there, got to. Diego actually got picked out of the 43 projects. But yeah, you can see Tom right here in the bottom right. He goes in before like everybody, like for an hour, and just goes from table to table. So he's really like involved in the internship and like likes to be there for everybody. And this is where you get to hear about all the cool projects that everybody did and what they learned. But again, you gotta submit a project and get accepted, and then you get to do it. So, and then it's just open to everybody. Me and I went to go see a lot of them, and yeah, it's just a really cool way to showcase what you did and what you learned. And it's also a chance to get like some exposure with like the CEO or even like Sean Black, who's the head of engineering, and like all those people go to that. So it's really cool to get their input and ask them for advice and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it is neat, like a lot of VPs and stuff go out there, cause they wanna meet the interns and see, you know, who's possibly gonna be, you know, the future face of like our Spirit. You know, in that conversation, they might be more interested in you or just interested in your project and, you know, what you thought. So it's a neat experience, definitely encourage it.
So our 2023 internship program, they already posted all the requisitions, all the positions that they want to fill. It's about 150. You guys saw the spread earlier, basically like 100 engineering. You need to apply like tonight. Like, I'm serious. If you guys want to apply tonight, because next week they're going on a really big college campus tour and they're going to get a lot of applicants, so it's important to get in before then. So if you feel confident in your resume and you really want to intern at Spirit, then I can give you guys, and I'm sure you'd be willing to give our emails and send us your resumes, and then we'll forward those to Roy, who was here last time we presented. If you don't, the reason I want you guys to send it to us first is because we don't want to send a resume to Roy that we're not confident about. We're happy to like review it with you guys, and if you brought it with you today, I'd be happy to look at it after this, and then we can forward it on to Roy and tell him, hey, get this person an interview, and hopefully we can at least help with that. So we're just really want to hire people like you guys at Spirit. So
one thing that we were told to stress was that next week they're getting ready to go on a careers fair, basically at different colleges like nearby, like K-State, KU, OU, OSU, like Iowa, like all of those schools. So they're gonna start getting applications from them, and if that's the reason why we're asking you guys to, like, if you're interested, like apply tonight, tomorrow, you know, whatever, ASAP. So that way you get your resume reviewed before, you know, it's on the top of the stack.
Yeah.
And you get more attention from the HR team that's gonna review them. So next week they're gonna be overwhelmed with a bunch more applications, so you'll just have a better chance.
yeah. So this is a little bit about the eligibility. So you need to be a junior, senior, graduate student. They put sophomore because if by the time you start your internship in May, you're technically a junior in credits, but you're a sophomore right now, then you're good. So you can still apply. You need to be in good academic standing. It used to be a 3.0 GPA, but they took that off because I understand some people like work 2 jobs and they do a lot. So if it's like a 2.8 or 2.9, but you have like a reason behind it, like, oh, you've been working 2 jobs or whatever, that's why they took that off. And it also your major needs to align to the internship position. I know, like, if we all applied for like a business role, we probably wouldn't get it, like you guys do either. So it needs to coincide with what it is. So mechanical is usually a really broad one that goes to almost any of them. Industrial kind of narrows you down to the industrial or the tooling engineering one. So yeah, that's a big part of it, is just making sure it aligns to the position you're applying for.
Can
So
you apply to multiple positions?
yeah, you can. Yeah, you can apply to as many as you want. Yeah. If you get selected, it's actually just a phone interview, so you don't have to do the in-person. I think it's recorded, obviously, but it's just one phone interview, and then after that, within 2 to 3 weeks, you should know if you got it or not. Again, if you get selected from the phone interview, the next steps would be your contingencies. So it's like a background check, all the usual stuff, getting a job, your documents, a badge picture. They give you a start date, and they tell you who your manager and your mentor is going to be, and then you do an orientation, and you get to start. So I can't remember which side it said. I think they start May 26th.
Yeah, I think the previous side, I think
Yeah,
says the
May
dates of
26th is when they
the-
start. Yep, so August 3rd, and that's a little flexible. I know the intern that I worked with last year got there a week late, so he stayed another week, and then I've heard of other ones who start a week early or a few days early. So that's flexible, so don't feel like you need to stick to those dates. But go back to the next one. Another thing about it is they give you relocation if you're not from the area. It's like $2,000 stipend. It's also paid, obviously. The engineering positions range from 22 to 29 an hour, depending on which one you pick. And you're basically working full time, so it's really nice. And if you're not from the area, they also offer you housing at, I think,
Wichita State.
here at WSU.
Yeah.
I don't think it's Shocker Hall. I think it might be somewhere else. I think it's the flats, I'm not sure. But yeah, that's also all provided, and so it's, yeah, you also get PTO, which I thought was weird, because I know when I interned, I never had paid for it.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. Yeah, they get like a week. I'm like, you guys work 6 weeks and you can get a week off. I mean,
It's just called good employer, okay?
yeah, and you also get health insurance, which I think was big for me. I know I didn't have health insurance till my first internship, so that's another reason to apply. But yeah, apply.
Once again, I don't know if this is in here, but you can pay tuition.
Oh yeah.
So-
If you guys want to take a summer class, Spirit gives you $2,000-$3,000 to take your summer class, pay for your
Yeah, I
summer
don't know
class.
the exact number,
Yeah,
but.
we just really want you to intern with us.
I know a lot of interns that were taking classes during the summer.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
I mean, hey, it's a great way to get some free classes.
Yeah, and probably just one, because then you'd be.
Yeah, that's right, you'd be over.
It's
You
still
need to
full
focus on
time, so you gotta
education.
work 40 hours a week, so, but yeah. That's it. Okay, so that's it for our slides. But we really wanted to, if you're interested, please come talk to us afterwards, because like I said, we wanna hire you, and if you have your resume, then you're prepared, and we will be super impressed. If it's printed, no. But any questions from us about Spirit, interning, graduating, anything?
You said you had defense internships?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like, would you require more experience for that, or?
No,
not
so
really?
it's actually, you can, if you're applying for a defense position, sometimes they can start your clearance ahead of time. And sometimes by the time you start, you'll have your security clearance. And that gives you a really big benefit after you graduate. Honestly, I know when I had my clearance, it's way easier to get a job. That's always, a lot of times, that's like the first thing they ask. Aside from like your citizenship status, is like, do you have a security clearance? And if you do, it's like a really big foot in. So if you can get it as an intern, that's like really good.
Yeah.
Okay, so what if you're like graduating with a bachelor's in spring?
And so you'll be done with school in May, right?
Yeah, I might do grad school, I'm not sure yet.
So if you're applied and I think registered for grad school, then you can apply for the internship. But if you're not, then just apply for, we have tons of positions for level ones too.
Okay.
So apply to those.
But say like I end up like deciding to go anyways, like how does that end up? Do I then get to apply for internships as well, or?
Well, honestly, you'd want to work full time, and then
Yeah.
if you can do school afterwards, like most of us do, like I do, I'm getting my master's here right now. So, yeah, apply to the level 1 position I'd recommend for you, and then do your master's, and then have Spirit pay for it, because they pay $10,000 a year if you're full-time
You have to do
employee.
tuition reimbursement
Yeah.
as a full-time
Yeah.
employee.
If we are applying for a level 1, do you still want us to come and talk to you?
Yeah, please.
Wait, did the level ones open already, or is that later?
That might,
They're open all the time.
those are all the time.
Oh.
Yeah. So just check the website, see that anything that says entry level or level 1, stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the day-to-day like for research and development?
So for my job, I do composite research and development, so just aerostructures. So day to day, it depends. I like mine because there's times when I'm doing proposals. So I'm like trying to submit, hey, this is what we do, this is our plan. If you give us the contract, this is how much money it costs you, this is how many hours it would take. And then there's the hands-on portion, which is my favorite part. So then we're building panels, largely like you structurally test like new materials. So we work a lot with NIAR and do that because they have a really big facility for structures testing. We do that at Spirit too, but we're pretty backed up most of the time. So yeah, research and development, I like it because you're touching all of the products before they're officially pushed off in the assembly line. So yeah, I love R&D. So. Any other questions?
Okay, I have a question. So I know that like computer like skills are growing and like you need it. So, like around like computers from like C++ or Python, would you suggest that would be like a big asset to have?
It depends on what you do. I know I suck at programming and I've never done it and I've been fine because I've stuck to mechanical engineering, aerospace engineering. I do CATIA way more than I would do that, I'm sure. But it's not a bad thing to know. It just depends on what you're applying for. If you do stress or something like that, then yeah, it might be good to have that in your back pocket that you know some programming language.
And I know, like, I think it looks like things are changing, you know, probably by the time you guys come out, like, things will be changing even more. That's becoming more of like a necessity for all engineers to have. Although I don't really do, I do some SQL programming, that's much as far as I got, but, you can apply that to a project, you know, like, as an engineer in general, so it's a good skill to have. I
Yeah.
think it's getting more and more important to have it.
More questions? No?
So I have two questions.
Go ahead.
So for computer science and computer engineering students, do you think there's a good opportunity, maybe
Yeah.
the IT or?
The IT and maybe stress, if you
Okay.
can swing it. A lot of times, like if you have some experience in something stress related through your programming, then you can categorize that as a stress engineer. So,
Are you familiar with like the KVE group or anything, like what they do?
No.
No. Cause I think that they're like R&D, but they're also like, I think they do programming.
Oh,
too.
yeah, yeah.
And then they develop apps and everything, and, I know like, so I get involved with some automated manufacturing, production systems. And, that requires, you know, a multifunctional team to work together to make it work, and that includes like, you know, programming. So basically, like one thing is that we're automating, like drilling a floor beam, and so the machine needs to know exactly what to do, you know, for each and every single part. There's a lot of programming that needs to happen, and I know that that's like an area that we need people. Like I just have like a meeting today, and they're like, we don't have any resources to work this, and this is going to cause us a delay in this project. So, so yeah, there's jobs out there.
So what bucket would that be on the? I mean, like, the students need to choose which bucket they're applying to?
Yeah, I think IT might be.
IT definitely, and then it might be this engineering one on the far left. But again, it's just important to, like, I think this goes for any job you guys apply for. If you read the description and it doesn't sound like anything on your resume, then you should probably like put that on your resume, like if you had that experience. And if not, it might be a lot harder to get the job. So like, let's say you have computer programming language on there, but you have an example, like you used it in Formula SAE or you used it in some other rocket club, then that's what you put, because that would align with what we do. So that's what I recommend for those of you that want to do that. Or even some manufacturing process that you developed or you did some job. Yeah.
And my other question is, what's the cutoff for being considered like out of the commuting area to get the additional housing bonus that you talked
What's the
about?
cutoff?
Oh,
Like
yeah,
it's actually, they give it to everyone regardless of if you live in Wichita or not.
Oh, okay.
The option, right?
The $2,000 for the.
Housing?
For housing.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think that's what Roy said.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what I wrote
I'm not
down.
sure. We could ask our HR guy, because we're
Yeah.
not HR, but.
I'm pretty sure that they were offering it
That'd be cool.
regardless.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah.
And that was something that Diego might answer too.
Yeah, Diego might know that answer. Yeah.
So I was like,
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else? All right. Cool. Thanks for listening to us.